I come from streets where the weeds push through concrete, a stubborn kind of beauty that refused to be discreet. My foundation's in the cracks, I was built on broken slabs, but something in the rubble taught me how to grab a hold of what remains when they strip away the green. I learned to find the garden in the spaces in between. Every pothole held a lesson, every faded line a map. I was planting seeds of purpose in a sidewalk nap. Concrete roofs, they run deep where the soil's thin. I'm growing in the places they said nothing could begin. Not a flower for a vase, not a fragile pretty thing. I'm the green that keeps on pushing through the cracks the winter brings. Concrete roofs, I'm not going anywhere. I've learned to thrive on stubborn air. They paved over the playground where I learned to run. Now there's a parking lot that's baking in the sun, but I still hear the echoes of the laughter in the tar. A reminder that the spirit doesn't care about the scar. I carry that momentum into everything I build, a quiet revolution that the city never killed. So when they tell me nothing grows in places made of stone, I show them what we can do when it decides to hold its own. You don't need a greenhouse, you don't need a plot, you just need the will to find the spot where the water gathers when the rain comes down, and turn it into something that can hold its ground. Concrete roots, let them call me rough and wild. I'm the proof that life can flourish even when it's exiled. Not asking for permission, not waiting for the spring. I'm the green that keeps on pushing through whatever life may bring. Concrete roots, I'm standing where I am, a garden in the city, a quiet stubborn jam. Concrete roots, concrete roots, concrete roots. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a scrapyard on the corner where the trains used to run. Now it's just a graveyard of the things that we've outdone. But I found a rose bush growing through the hood of a rusted car, a contradiction so beautiful it made me stop and stare. I've been that rose bush, pushing through my own decay, learning that the broken parts can still find a way to bloom without permission, to color what was dead. A living proof that nothing's ever finished, just misread. Rust and roses, that's the soil I was given, a mix of what was dying and what's secretly still living. You don't need to clean the wreckage to make a garden grow. Sometimes the most beautiful things come from letting the rust show. Rust and roses, I wear them both with pride, a beauty that was never meant to hide. But I've got scars that look like metal left out in the rain, and places in my memory still whisper with the pain. But I've also got the petals that unfolded in the dark, the moments I discovered that I still could make a spark. So I'm not sanding down the surface, I'm not painting over truth, I'm letting every layer tell the story of my youth. The rust is just a color, the rose is just a stage. Together they're the portrait of a life that turned a page. They say you gotta strip it down to build it up again, but I say let the old live with the new, that's how you're man. The cracks become the character, the stains become the art. A patchwork is a testament to a surviving heart. Rust and roses, not one or the other. I'm the space between the ruin and the lover. Of the beauty that emerges when you stop trying to erase and let the contradictions live together in one place. Rust and roses, that's the truth I hold. A garden made of stories that were never fully told. Yeah. Standing on the platform, fluorescent hum above. The crowded tired faces, each one carrying a love. All lost are just the weight of another 9 to 5. I'm watching how we're all just trying to survive. The train arrives with a screech that sounds like yesterday. I step into the car and I let the motion take me away. For a moment we're all travelers in a temporary cave. A shared suspension between the cradle and the grave. Subway light flickering in the tunnel. We're all just passengers waiting for the sun to come through. Subway light, a momentary glow, showing me the faces that I never really know. But in the flicker I see myself, a reflection in the glass. A stranger moving forward as the city rumbles past. There's a woman reading letters from a lover far away. A kid with headphones on, escaping in the bass and treble play. A man who's practicing the speech he'll never give. All of us together, all of us alone, and that's how we live. I used to see the subway as a tunnel without end. Now I see it as a space where strangers learn to bend around each other's silences, around the common need to move without colliding, to plant a quiet seed. Oh, we don't talk, but we share the same sway. We don't touch, but we find a way to be together in the dark, a momentary arc, carrying us forward until we make our mark. Subway light, a thin and fragile thread, connecting all the things we leave and all the things ahead. Not a destination, just a move in space, where every face reflects a kind of grace. Subway light, I'll carry you with me, a flicker of humanity beneath the city. a mix of dust and diesel, and what used to be. I stand under the awning, watching water turn to chrome. The city washes clean for a moment, then it's gone. I've been that asphalt beaten down by every storm, but I've also been the water that reminds you of the norm, that nothing stays the same for long, that dirt can turn to glass if you let the rain do what it does, instead of fighting the past. Asphalt rain washing over me, a temporary clarity, a moment to breathe. It doesn't fix the cracks, it doesn't heal the scars, but it makes the city shimmer like a field of stars. Asphalt rain, I'm standing in the wet, learning to accept the things I can't change. I used to run from storms, I used to curse the clouds. Now I let the water settle on my shoulders like a shroud that isn't meant to bury, just to cover for a while, to remind me that the gray can hold a certain style. The puddles show me reflections I've been too fast to see, a version of the sky that's looking up at me. So when the rain comes down on everything I've built, I try to see the silver in the gift. Maybe the asphalt isn't dead, just waiting for the wet to turn it into something that the sun hasn't touched yet. A canvas for the street lights, a mirror for the moon, a promise that the dry spell's gonna end soon. Asphalt rain, keep falling on my path. I'm not afraid of getting soaked, I'm not afraid of aftermath. The water knows what it's doing, I'm learning to let go. Asphalt rain, you're the only thing that makes the city grow. Asphalt rain, I'm letting you do your work, even when the clouds feel like a jerk. The city sings in two keys, a constant back and forth, the wail of the emergency and the quiet of the heart. I live between the sirens and the lullabies I hum, a resident of chaos, but a citizen of calm. I've learned to let the dissonance be part of my design, the high notes and the low notes blending into something fine. It's not about ignoring what's alarming in the night, it's finding the sweet melody that helps you hold the light. Sirens and lullabies, the soundtrack of my street, a mix of what I run from and the peace I try to keep. Not one without the other, not silence and not noise, just the sound of someone learning to find their own voice. Sirens and lullabies, they both belong to me. A city's heartbeat, wild and free. When the sirens scream, I think of all the lives they hold, a story of a moment where the ordinary folds into the urgent, into the real. A truth we can't deny, that every street is just a step away from a goodbye. But then the night returns to the low hum of the fridge, a neighbor's laughter drifting from a window on the bridge. And I remember that the fear and the comfort share a wall, and somehow in the middle I can stand through it all. You can't choose the soundtrack of the place you call your home, but you can learn to make the dissonance your own, to find the rhythm in the chaos, the pattern in the noise, the thing that lets you hear your own voice. Sirens and lullabies, they play on the same radio, a frequency that lets me know that life is never one thing, it's a blend of dark and bright. Sirens and lullabies, I'll listen through the night, I'll listen through the night, I'll listen through the night.
The bodega where the dumpsters stay, but I found a flower growing there the other day. A flash of purple pushing through the broken glass and grind, a stubborn little piece of life that's been there all this time. I started looking closer at the places we ignore, the pockets of persistence that the city can't devour. A vine along the fence line, the weed beside the stair, a quiet insurrection that reminds me that I care. Alleyway blue, you don't need a parade, you just need a crack of light and a stubborn shade. You taught me that the beauty doesn't wait for perfect ground, it finds the spaces left and turns it into something profound. Alleyway bloom, I see you from my window, a lesson in the letting go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I've been that alley, I've been overlooked and passed, yeah. A place that people hurry through, a space they've overcast, yeah. But I've also been the bloom that nobody planned to see, in the margins, wild and free. So now I walk the back streets with a different kind of gaze. I'm looking for the green that in the rubble finds a way to tell me that no matter how the concrete stacks the art, there's always room for something that outgrows the odds. Oh, they'll pave it over when they get around to it, but the seeds have already learned how to split. The asphalt, the neglect, the daily grind, they've been there before, they don't mind. Alleyway bloom, you're my kind of Summer in the city, the window unit hums, a constant bassline underneath the sirens and the drums. I'm lying on the couch with the fan pointed at my face, trying to find a stillness in the sweltering space. The heat makes everything slow, the hours start to stretch, a kind of grace you only get when you can't escape the bench. Window unit pushing back against the wave, a small machine that's doing what it can to stay brave. Window unit hum, you're the sound of hanging on when the weather says it's over, but you're not quite gone. A mechanical persistence, a low and steady drone, a reminder that survival doesn't need a perfect drone. The summer, hate the way it pinned me down. Now I let the heat be honest, let it melt away the crown. I wore productivity of always being on. The stillness is a teacher if you let it take the throne. Oh, the window your unit coughs, it sputters but it never quits. A metaphor for when the spirit's running out of wits. The other choice is worse, a stubborn little motor in a stifling universe. Oh, we think we need the grand gestures, the perfect cool, but sometimes it's the hum that gets you through. A small insistence that you'll last until the heat waves pass. Window unit hum, you're the sound of not giving in, a battle with the weather that you're determined to win. Now if you reach us with patience, just for staying in the fight, a hum that carries on into the forgiving night. Window unit hum, I'll take you as my guide, a noise that taught me how to ride. I ride the elevated train to get a different view, a bird's eye on the city, a perspective that is new. From up here, the streets are rivers, the cars are little fish, and every block is breathing with a quiet urgent wish. I see the rooftops where the laundry lines are strung, the water towers standing like the elders of the young. I see the grid that we built to organize our haze, and from above
love, it almost looks like something we could taste. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Elevated, I'm looking down on the life I live. A moment of detachment, a willingness to give myself a second glance, a chance to understand the pattern in the chaos, the rhythm in the land. Elevated, I bring it back with me. A bird's eye on the ordinary, a way to see. I used to think the ground was all there was to know, that getting higher was escaping, not a way to grow. But now I take the elevated track when I can't see. The forest for the traffic, the forest for the speed. Oh, I watch the city breathing like a body in repose. The stars that look like rivers, the lights that look like prose. And I remember that the struggle is a thread within a weed, that from the proper distance I can almost believe. We get so close, we lose the shape. We need a moment to escape, not from the life, but from the blur, to see the beauty that we were. Elevated, I'm taking the high road now, not to leave the low behind, but to remember how the parts connect, the dots align, the mess becomes a whole. A view that lets me settle back into my role. Elevated, I ride it when I need. Oh, a second look at what I'm trying to be. I got pocket change and pocket dreams, a lint-filled purse, but I've been rich in moments that I can't reverse. A stranger smile, a corner store that knows my name, a melody that finds me when I'm drowning in the shame. They say you need the capital to make a move, but I've been making moves with nothing left to prove. A little bit of copper and a little bit of hope, a way to keep on going when I'm at the end of road. Pocket change, it ain't much to show, but it's enough to let me know that wealth is not the paper, it's the way you hold the day, the small exchanges that you make along the way. Pocket change, I'm jingling it now, a sound that says I'll make it somehow. I bought a coffee for a woman who was counting out her cents. She looked at me like I had just repaid a debt. I saw my own reflection in the way she held her cup, a person making do with what the world had given up. We didn't talk, but in that moment something passed, a currency of kindness that was built to last. More than any bill, more than any stock, a little change that opens up a lock. They say you need a fortune just to start, but fortune starts inside the heart. A willingness to give a little when you can, that's the only real plan. Pocket change, it's all I really need. A pocket full of seeds that grow into a deed of ordinary magic of a life that's held with care. Pocket change, I'm jingling my share. There's a mural on the overpass that no one stops to see. A patch of color in the gray, a quiet history of faces that the neighborhood has tried to not forget. A rainbow on the concrete, a deliberate debt to the people who were here before the names were changed. Yes. The artists who insisted that the canvas could be claimed. I drive beneath it every day, and every day I look. Yeah. A reminder that a city is a story, not a book. Mural on the overpass, you're speaking to the cars. A voice that's not a billboard, a constellation of scars turned into something beautiful. A protest and a prayer, a testament that someone somewhere still cares. Mural on the overpass, mural on the overpass. You keep me looking up. Splash your soul inside the rush. They said it was graffiti, they tried to paint it white, but the community came out and stood there through the night, with rollers and with brushes, with a stubborn quiet will. They said this is our story and we're gonna keep it still. I think about that when I feel like giving in, when the world tries to erase the month that I've been in. I think about the overpass, the faces in the spray, and I remember that the art can find a way to stay. They can wash away what's in the soul, the colors that we take control of, painting on the structures that they own, a garden that we've grown. Mural on the overpass, mural on the overpass. You taught me to be loud in my own quiet way, to stand out from the crowd of people who are told to blend into the gray. Mural on the overpass, I carry you today. There's a fence line at the edge of the old factory yard, a boundary that was built to say this far, no farther guard. But the weeds have grown through it, the vines have made it theirs, a negotiation happening without any fanfare. I've been that fence line, holding things apart, while nature finds a way to turn the barrier into art. I've been the one who thought I needed boundaries to survive. Now I'm learning that the best things happen when they come alive. Fence line, you're a border and a bridge, a tension that resolves itself on nature's edge. Not to keep us out, but to remind us what's inside, the parts of us that want to grow but also want to hide. Fence line, I'm standing where you stand, a keeper of the line, a cultivator of the land. I built a fence around my heart to keep the hurt away, but all it did was keep the light from finding its own way. The IVF connection found the gaps and slipped on through, and I discovered that the walls I built were never really true. So now I'm taking down a post, I'm rolling up the wire, I'm letting in the garden that I tried to keep outside. A fence line isn't permanent, it's just a temporary thought, and what grows through it teaches me what I should have sought. We think we need the boundaries to know who we are, but sometimes the boundary is the bar we set against the very thing that makes us whole. A fence around the soul. Fence line, I'm letting you go now. The places where you used to stand are starting to allow a new kind of movement, a wilder kind of grace. Fence line, I'm replacing you with space.
Father laid brick for 30 years. His hands were always rough. A man who built the structures that the city calls enough. He taught me that the strong things are the ones that take their time. A wall is just a promise that you keep within the line, and I carry that with me. The patience of the mason, the understanding that a life is something you are facing. One layer at a time, one joint at a pace. A structure that will last if you respect the space. Brick and bone, that's what I'm made of now. A mix of what I'm given and the strength I've learned to vow. Not to break when pressure comes, but to settle in the load. A building that was built to stand on any road. Brick and bone, I'm taking it from him. A legacy of staying in the limb. I watched him come home tired, his eyes a distant gray, but he would always smile when he saw what he made that day. A corner, a facade, a school, a little shop, the pride of something finished, a reason not to stop. I never thought I'd understand that feeling till I built a life from nothing, piece by piece, and felt the guilt of wanting more, but also knowing that the work is good. A brick is just a brick until you place it where you should. They say we build too fast, we cut the corners thin, but the slow way is the only way that holds the weight within. A lesson from a father who knew how to wait. Brick and bone, it's not too late. Brick and bone, I'm laying them with care. A house that's not a showpiece, but a shelter I can share with anyone who's tired of the houses made of straw. Brick and bone, I'm building something raw. worked the night shift at a warehouse on the edge, a graveyard of the daytime, a liminal edge between the world that sleeps and the world that keeps on going. A river of the tired, a quiet kind of knowing. I stacked the boxes, watched the hours crawl like saints, the hum of fluorescent, the absence of complaints. The morning crew will come and take the things that I have packed. They'll never know the silent hours where I kept the rhythm intact. Night shift, I'm the one who holds the line. While the city rests, I'm making things align. Not for glory, not for praise, just for the simple need to keep the world from stalling when the daylight's free. I used to hate the nighttime, thought it stole my life away. Now I see it as a partner in the work that I convey. The quiet is a gift, solitude a friend. I talk to myself in the aisles, I let my thoughts extend to places that the daytime hustle never lets me go. A warehouse full of silence is a place I've come to know. It's sacred in its ordinariness, a temple of the stack. I punch out at the morning, but a part of me stays back. Not every work is seen, not every job is praised, but the world still turns on the backs of the unsung, the unfazed. I'm proud to be a part of that, a shadow in the shift, a quiet contributor to the daily gift. Night shift, when you see the sun rising, remember there are hands that made the city fit. Together while you slept, the labor without name. Night shift, I'm a part of the same. There's a broken parking meter on the corner of my block. It's been out of order since the winter, stuck on zero, never locked. People park there anyway, a small collective cheat, a tiny act of civil grace, a way to beat the heat of the system that keeps asking for a little more each day. A coin for every minute that you're trying to find your way. I think about that meter when I'm feeling overdrawn, a reminder that the rules are just a story we've been told since we were born. Broken meter, you don't ask for anything, a little patch of freedom that the city lets us breathe, a space to breathe, a spot to pause, a moment without cause, a reminder that not everything as valuable as lost. Broken meter, I'm parking next to you, a small rebellion that I'm learning to. I used to pay attention to every rule and fee. I thought that being lawful was the only way to be free, but I was suffocating under my own care. A
Parking ticket for my soul, for every breath of air. Then I saw the broken meter, the community of cars, a silent agreement under all the city scars. That sometimes the machine is wrong and the people know the truth. A broken thing can get more grace than something smooth. We build these systems to control the flow, but sometimes the system has to go a little off, a little crack, to give the humans some room to act. Broken meter, you're a tiny liberty, a crack in the facade that lets us be a little less controlled, a little more alive. Broken meter, you help me thrive. Woo. Broken meter, you help me thrive. Help me thrive.
There's a ghost sign on the side of an old brick wall, paint that's faded, letters that are hard to recall. They used to advertise a soda that they don't make anymore, a promise from a century that's resting on the floor. But the wall still holds the outline, the shadow of the name, a palimpsest of commerce, a forgotten claim. I look at it and wonder what the future will leave behind. What will be the ghost sign of the life that I'm designing? Ghost sign, you're a whisper from the past, the message that was meant to last. But time had other plans, and now you're just a trace, a beauty in the fading, a kind of quiet grace. Ghost sign, you tell me that I too will be a memory that someone looks through. We spend so much time building names that we think will hold, but every empire crumbles, every story grows old. The ghost sign is a comfort in its slow, inevitable fate, a reminder that the temporary is the only game we play. So I'm not trying to be immortal, just to be a mark that fades with dignity, a light left in the dark, something that someone might see when the pain is almost gone, and think someone was here once and they carried on. We leave our marks in different ways, some shout, some whisper through the haze. I wanna be the ghost sign on the wall, a faint but honest call. Ghost sign, I'll be a gentle stain, a memory that doesn't need to rain, just a shape that tells a story when the light is right. Ghost sign, I'm ready for the night.
on the fire escape when the city gets too loud. A perch between the ground and sky, a bridge between the crowd and the solitude I'm needing when the noise becomes a weight. A lattice of iron that the landlord never painted straight. I watch the neighbors in their windows, little dioramas of life. A man who's arguing with someone, a woman with a knife. Of grief she's chopping vegetables with, trying to make a meal. And I see myself in all of them, the way we learn to feel. Oh, fire escape, a ladder to the air, a place where I remember that I'm here. Between the private and the public, a threshold of the soul, a spot where I can breathe and still feel whole. Oh, fire escape, I'm sitting on your steps, collecting what the city often forget. Yeah, I bring my coffee out at dawn when the streets are still asleep. The only sound a distant truck, a secret that I keep. The fire escape is creaking, but it holds me like a friend. A structure that was meant for crisis, now a place to mend. The ordinary hours, the slow and simple pause, a chance to watch the day begin without a single cause. I've learned that safety isn't always in the walls we build. Sometimes it's on a metal grate that lets the air be filled. We think we need the solid ground to know where we belong, but sometimes the in-between is where we find our song. A ladder that connects the fire to the street, a place where life and safety meet. Oh, yeah. Oh, fire escape, you're my balcony of grace, a spot where I can see the city's face. Without the walls that hide the truth, without the filtered pain, I escape, I'm here again. There's a man who writes his poems on the sidewalk with white chalk, a message that the rain will take a temporary toll. He kneels there every morning with a bucket and a stick, composing verses that the city's feet will kick into oblivion by noon, but still he writes them out. A dedication to the moment, a practice without doubt. I stop to read them when I can, a quote laid on the street, a gift from someone who believes the transient is sweet. Yeah. Pavement poet, you're riding in the dust, a lesson that the permanence we chase is just a lust for something that was never meant to stay beyond the day. A chalk line in the city that will wash itself away. Pavement poet, you taught me that the art is in the making, not the keeping of the heart. I used to wanna carve my name in stone to make it last, a legacy that nothing could erase, a testament that passed the test of centuries. But now I see the chalk, and I admire the humility, the way it doesn't ball.
at disappearing with the rain, at being just a trace. The poet knows that nothing stays, not even a name's embrace. So I'm writing in the temporary, letting go of hope. A pavement poem of my own, a story to be told. We spend our lives building monuments, but the rain will have its sentiment. The poet knows the truth and writes it down, a fleeting crown. Pavement poet, I'm taking up your stick, a chalk line that the world can kick. But while it's there, it's beautiful, a gift without a cost. Pavement poet, I won't let you be lost.
There's a sycamore tree growing where the steam comes from the grate. A twisted trunk that's learned to love the underground heat's fate. It drops its leaves in autumn on the cars that pass below. A canopy of amber in the city's winter show. I stand beneath it when the steam wraps around my feet. A mix of nature and the city, bitter and sweet. The tree doesn't complain about the smoke, it just keeps growing tall. A lesson in acceptance, a defiance that enthralls. Steam and sycamore, you're teaching me to be a mix of what I'm given and the thing that sets me free. The city and the forest, the hot and the cold, a partnership that's stranger than the stories that we're told. Steam and sycamore, I'm standing in your shade, a piece that the concrete hasn't made. I used to think that nature was a place I had to leave, the city to get to, a distance to achieve. But now I see the sycamore, the way it takes the steam and turns it into something like a neighborhood dream. The roots are tangled with the pipes, the branches with the wires, a symbiosis born of struggle, not of easy fires. I wanna be that sycamore to take what's harsh and make it green, to grow where I am planted, to be part of the scene. We think we have to choose between the wild and the plant, but the tree grows through the sidewalk, it makes a different stand. A blend of both, a hybrid grace, a sycamore in an urban place. Steam and sycamore, I'm taking root right here, not waiting for a forest, not waiting for a clear, a simple space to flourish. I'll flourish where I am. Steam and sycamore, I'm part of the plan. Oh,
Sunday in the city, a different kind of pace. The streets are almost quiet, a temporary grace. The stores are closed, the traffic's light, the urgency is gone. A space to catch your breath before the Monday on. I walk without a destination, let the sidewalks guide. A reverie of moving with nothing left to hide. The bells are ringing somewhere, a call I don't obey, but I appreciate the way they mark the passing of the day. Sunday in the city, a Sabbath for the soul, a pause that lets the chaos become a little whole. Not holy in the scripture, but holy in the rest. A day where I can simply be, not try to be my best. Sunday, I'm taking it as mine, a slow and steady time. I find a bench in a small park that's hidden from the main, a patch of green that holds the quiet after all the rain. I watch the family gathering, the children on the swing. A moment of community that doesn't need to sing, to be a kind of worship, a secular belief, that we can share a space without the need for greed or striving, just existing, just being in the sun. Sunday in the city, a day that's one. We fill our weeks with motion, with the need to prove, but Sunday is a different move. A stepping back, a letting be, a pause for the heart to see. It's Sunday in the city, I'm keeping you close. A day that isn't measured by the things I can boast, but by the quiet moments, the bench, the bells, the breeze. Sunday in the city, you put my mind at ease. Oh, yeah. Before the lights go out tonight, I wanna walk the block. I'll find a loop before the day becomes a ticking clock that counts down to tomorrow, but tomorrow isn't here. And there's a peace in knowing that the present is sincere. I see the corner store, the awning, the old man with his chair, the way the evening settles on the ordinary there. A beauty that I'd miss if I was rushing to the next. A blessing in the mundane, a truth that's not complex. Before the lights go out, let me take it in. The city that I live in, the place I chose to begin. Not perfect, not a postcard, but a home that I have made. A patchwork of the honest and the unafraid. Before the lights go out, I wanna say thank you for the streets that saw me through. There's a woman who has walked a dog here every night for years, a ritual that holds her when the world becomes unclear. The dog is old now, moving slow, but still they make the round. A silent testament to being found. In
the repetition, in the simple, in the known. A life that's built from blocks that are not grand, but they are owned.
I think of all the lives that intersect on this small street. The private victories, the silent, the discreet. Oh, we look for meaning in the mountains and the sea, but meaning's in the ordinary, in the key of the door you open every day without a thought, the ground that you have walked. Before the lights go out, I'm staying here a while, a witness to the city, a part of its profile. Not a tourist, not a stranger, just a person on the block. Before the lights go out.